You know, I've been thinking a lot about political ideologies lately, and I stumbled upon libertarianism. It's fascinating stuff.
Oh yeah, what's caught your interest about it?
Well, it's all about individual freedom and minimal government intervention.
Right.
Basically, people should be free to make their own choices as long as they're not harming others.
That's interesting. So it's like, do whatever you want, but don't infringe on others?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just right-leaning economics. There are left-leaning variations too. It's a broad spectrum.
So where did libertarianism originate? I mean, what's its history?
It dates back to the 18th century, influenced by classical liberalism and the Enlightenment. Think philosophers like John Locke and Adam Smith.
Oh, so those guys laid the groundwork?
Yeah, they really did. Then in the 19th century, early libertarians opposed government control and economic restrictions.
And in the 20th century?
It grew as a response to socialism and expanding government regulations.
Right.
Figures like Ayn Rand and Milton Friedman were big proponents.
Ayn Rand, as in Atlas Shrugged.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
argued for capitalism and self-interest.
So what are the core principles of libertarianism?
Well, first off, individual liberty is paramount. People should live as they choose. Then there's limited government. Its role should be restricted to protecting life, liberty, and property.
So they're big on free markets too, right?
Absolutely. Economic freedom leads to innovation and prosperity. Plus, they emphasize personal responsibility. People should be responsible for their own well-being, not the state.
That's the non-aggression principle, isn't it?
You've got it. The
Yeah.
NAP says no one should use force, fraud, or coercion against others.
Are there different types of libertarianism?
There sure are. There's classical libertarianism, which focuses on free markets and individual rights. Then minarchism supports a small government limited to law enforcement, defense, and courts.
Wait, what about anarcho-capitalism? I've heard that term before.
Anarcho-capitalism advocates for a society without a government at all.
Really?
The free market handles everything.
That sounds a bit extreme.
It does, but proponents like Murray Rothbard believe it's the purest form of liberty.
And there's left libertarianism too?
Yes, it supports social justice and economic equality through voluntary cooperation rather than government intervention.
Interesting.
It's all about mutual aid.
So who are the key figures in libertarian thought?
We've mentioned a few already, John Locke and Adam Smith. Friedrich Hayek warned against government control in The Road to Serfdom.
And Milton Friedman, the economist?
Exactly. He
Right.
promoted free market policies and personal choice.
What about modern political figures?
Ron Paul is a big one. He's been advocating libertarian policies in US politics for decades.
How does libertarianism fit into modern politics?
Well, some libertarian policies are embraced by conservative movements, like limited government and free markets.
But they also align with liberal ideals?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They advocate for civil liberties, decriminalization of drugs, and non-interventionist foreign policy.
So they're kind of bridging the gap between the traditional left and right?
In some ways, yes. Libertarian political parties exist worldwide, pushing for lower taxes and reduced government intervention.
But there must be criticisms of libertarianism, right?
Of course. Some argue that minimal government fails to protect the vulnerable.
Right.
Without support systems, people could fall through the cracks.
And what about corporate power?
That's a big one. Free markets can lead to monopolies and economic inequality.
So it's idealistic but maybe not practical in complex societies?
That's a common critique. The question is how essential services like healthcare and education would function without government.
Yeah, I mean, would the free market adequately provide those services?
Libertarians would argue that competition leads to better services, but it's a contentious point.
It's definitely food for thought.
Absolutely. Understanding libertarianism gives us insight into ongoing political debates about the economy, freedom, and governance.
So in conclusion, libertarianism is all about freedom but comes with its own set of challenges?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a philosophy that promotes personal responsibility and limited government, but it's not without its criticisms.
Well, this has been really enlightening. Thanks for breaking it down for me.
Anytime. It's always great to dive into these topics.
Definitely. Maybe next time we can tackle another ideology?
Sounds good.
Cool.
Looking forward to it.